I'm Pete Traynor. I'm founder and director of human-centered design at Nexus in London.
You tell us about the company which you founded last year.
So Nexus is a human-centered design company. What we're doing is designing experiences that are really focused on the technological connections between kind of humans, biology, and apps and services. So we're really interested in the biological responses to digital, how people react psychologically, emotionally, the long-term effects of that, but also breaking habits and changing behaviours.
And how has technology affected brain activity in these new users?
In lots of different ways, actually. Since probably apps and services became really the mainstream way of engaging with brands, people are using their hands a lot more. And so that connection between digital physically and the interfaces that we're using is really broken down. And also, there's a lot more pushes and pings and pulls that draw us back to digital now. So awareness and attention of digital is becoming more and more prevalent, and that's really the kind of main effect that's happening on the brain.
And how are you integrating technology into your company?
How are we integrating technology into our company? Good question. I think really in all the ways that everybody else is integrating into their companies, but what we're really trying to do is look at the long-term effects of how much we use email, how often we're sitting in front of screens versus kind of communicating on walls and things like that. So lessening the time that we spend with technology and actually using technology as an enabler rather than being a technology company. So it's really about good old-fashioned design again, and using design and technology together to enable the company.
You were telling me earlier about the effects of Tinder and how that has changed things and people's brain activity during that. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So my talk at Digital Shoreditch this year is called The Biological Power Push and Pull. And it's really a skit through Tinder. So Tinder is something that we've been looking at recently. It's a linear problem-solving app because it really only has two responses to it, yes or no. It grows stronger neural pathways associated to the kind of A-B response of yes or no, and actually makes you dumber. But the other thing that Tinder does is it elicits 3 hormonal responses in an individual. So within a minute of using Tinder, adrenaline starts to course through your body. That's quickly joined by testosterone, whether you're male or female. And after about 15 minutes of use, most people start to experience something like a cortisol release. So testosterone and adrenaline suppress, cortisol comes out, and that's really the hormone that starts to make you unhappy rather than happy. We did a big survey, we trolled Tinder, starting to try and find out how long people were spending on the service, and they were actually spending on average between 30 and 40 minutes. So 86% of people that answered our survey were spending 30 or 40 minutes on Tinder. So they were actually running on cortisol and depression, kind of hormones, which was really, really amazing if you think about it. It's supposed to be a happy thing that they were doing, and actually they were actually making themselves unhappy. And so there are a lot of apps out there that are tricking people into spending too much time because of the addictive nature of digital, kind of using those services.
So is that a healthy thing for users? I mean, obviously used in moderation, but it sounds like there can be a massive variation of behaviour linked to the technology there.
Yeah, I mean, it varies greatly between each person, so between males, females, ages. But really, if we look at it across the board, it's a really unhealthy thing. There are huge psychological implications of this as well. It's kind of a social exclusion opportunity going on here. It's not a good thing, and really, I think one of the messages from Nexus, part of our philosophy, is to try and kind of rally and govern some of the people that are creating these popular services to limit their usage. So try and get them to, time out after a certain period of time, or encourage people to use them less, because there are long-term physical implications of this. We're not actually going to find out what these long-term kind of evolutionary implications are for probably another 10 years, because we don't know what's going on, long stay. So we have to really just kind of wait and see. But we can definitely see biological, physiological changes happening within youth, within the new breed of natives coming through, and we should be really aware of that and monitoring what that's doing, I think.
So for the next 12 months then, what are going to be the big challenges for Nexus?
Convincing people it's not like strange soothsaying. I think the big challenges for us are really just getting the message out there that there are good ways of designing and bad ways of designing, and what we're trying to do is, I think, work with companies, really big companies actually. We're doing a lot of work with the banks at the moment, we're doing a lot of work with healthcare companies, to just try and make them aware of the fact that the services need to be designed in a certain way, and user experience needs to be considered in a certain way. It's not difficult to do, it's actually very easy to do it. And just make the awareness of the message kind of louder, and I think that's really the main thing for us for the next year. It's to create behavioural design as part of every organisation and not just part of our organisation, and to kind of send that message in.
Wonderful, thanks a lot.